Good morning, Option Addicts. It's Tuesday, June 19th. This is Jeff Kohler, aka The Option Addict from optionaddict.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching the old video here this week. What I'm doing is I'm giving out my watch list, things that are on my radar for this upcoming trading week. Hopefully you've noticed that a lot of the stocks we were following from last week's list have just done phenomenal. Even though the market's been kind of wishy-washy, at least so far this week, some of those trades are performing very, very well. So hopefully we found the next list of gold mines here. I'm going to start off with price patterns for this week, just a couple things that are on my radar. And I'm going to start with some that we've been watching. Let's go to first Seagate Technologies, which is ticker symbol STX. And the reason I'm watching this is we got some pretty good support on the stock down at about 20 and a quarter or so. A lot lower highs, so the stock is still working its way in a downtrend. However, I think we got a little bit of a descending triangle formed here, one that will provide about a 2-point drop if the stock were able to break below about 20 and a quarter. So that would put this stock, into another dollar value, into the teens, and that of course would be bad for the stock here. We've actually traded the stock twice, I believe, through some of the resources here through on my blog. So anyway, if this stock breaks 20 and a quarter, looking for another trade here as well. Along those lines, COBIZ, C-O-B-Z. I think you could move this trend line here just a little bit, and you're still looking at a descending triangle that hasn't broken yet with a $1.50 price target, which, woohoo, I know that doesn't sound very great, but keep in mind this is an $18 stock, so that's still a 10% movement in the underlying. Looking for take probably a short position on this if we can crack below about 18, maybe 18.10, kind of right in that ballpark. I'd like to see some pretty good volume to confirm that though. Next I'm going to look at CarMax. And for those of you that traded that descending triangle, I still think all is well within this trade. In fact, this was a descending triangle we took not too long ago. But since then, what I'm noticing here is a nice little coil winding up on this guy yet again. I can move that just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so a little symmetrical triangle, pennant, whatever you want to call it here, within this downward trend is going to offer a really good entry point or an adding point to this trade if you're already in the existing put options that we talked about. So looking at this, buying another probably 2 months out, going with about a $25 put here, I wouldn't be too aggressive. That'd be how I trade CarMax here. Next, BTU. Call me crazy, but I think there's a little bit of a head and shoulders going on here. And you'll have to look really closely, but you've got kind of an ascending neckline here. Let me highlight shoulder 1, head, shoulder 2. This offers about a 6-point price target on BTU if it does want to break below about 51, which is where I've got that neckline drawn. So I'm looking about a 5-6 point reversal in the next 1 month on BTU. And I think the same could be said for Boeing. If you look at BA, you can see this thing, we've got the exact same formation going on here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, sitting right at the neckline at 97.50. A break below that on good volume is probably going to result in a 5-point reversal on the stock, dropping it back to about 91. Pretty much going to be a retest, what looks like, of this old level of resistance. So we'll see how that pans out. Next, I've got Coach in the retail space. I was watching a few of these for bearish trades, but I think Coach is still standing out. And if you look at this, you got a pretty good support line or neckline, whatever you want to call it, sitting right here. Shoulder, head, shoulder. A break below 47. I'm going to buy a lot of puts on this guy here, looking for about 5 to 6 point reversal on Coach. And retail, some of these stocks have been getting pretty weak, and I think this one might lead the pack. So keep an eye on Coach. Next, COGO, Comtech Group. Now let's get the right tool here. Another nice little symmetrical triangle chart pattern here. And ultimately kind of a huge double top if you were to zoom out and look at the 5-year chart on this guy. Which leads me to believe if it breaks below 17 here, the support line, it's probably just going to go back down and retest this prior low. Retest where support is on that long-term pattern. I'm really not looking at the long-term pattern on this because this is a $17 stock. I'm not going to get into a $2 investment short position here, so I'd be looking at just the trade down to about $14.50 if it breaks lower, or if it wants to even break higher. This could result in a break higher, and all it means is it goes up and it tests resistance one more time. Then we're looking at a long-term ascending triangle. So either way, symmetrical triangle is very neutral pattern. I'm going to trade this one either way it goes. Next, ATI, and we notice steel's been getting pretty weak. We've been trading U.S. steel here. That was our trade of the week a little while back. Thing's been phenomenal. But you can see some resistance dwelling here at about 115 in that area. And you still got support here, so no bearish trade to be taken yet. But if the stock does take out its lows right here at about 107, I'd be looking at about a 10, this is probably a little bit more than that, maybe about a 10-point reversal, give or take a few. So ATI looking pretty weak. Let's go next to, again, head and shoulders patterns. Water transportation, which has been pretty hot on lately. We almost called the very bottom and the top in these, but if you look, we've got a pretty good support here at 57. Again, shoulder, head, shoulder. If this one breaks, we're looking at about a 5-point reversal, which puts the stock back at about the close of this gap right below here, about 52.50 or so. Very, very feasible. In fact, you might even, if it starts rolling over, if you're a gambler, you might even consider taking the trade now and seeing how it reacts when it gets to that neckline. You know, that's just the gambler speaking, though. Pardon me. Let's go next to APH, Amphenol Corporation. Good resistance right here. Got a nice rising support level. It means we've got an ascending triangle with about a 3.5-point price target. This recent action here, this little price bar, slightly above resistance. You know, your closing price is right at resistance, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But it's likely to pull back and retest support one more time before it ultimately breaks out. When it does break out, when it has a pretty good break here and the volume's present, you look at about a 3.5-point movement on the stock over the next 2 months. Next, Zoran has been on my radar for quite a while. And you can see here another coil just winding up pretty tightly. Nothing actionable as of yet, but when it does break out, we're looking at about a $2.50 price target. And for a $20 stock, I'll take that any day. Next, let's look at Clark. We've got a pretty good spike here that took out its prior high. I'm going to have to zoom in really closely, so it's a little bit early to call this a flag, but I'm going to do it. Oh, and it looks like it gapped up this morning. Well, so much for confirmation. That one's done. Too late to get on that one now, so let's move on next to VDSI. And here you got some pretty good resistance right at about 23. You've got some rising support from as low as, what is that, 17? So if this stock ends up working out all right, you're looking at a pretty substantial price target here. If it breaks 23, if the volume is there, we all know we like to look for volume. We're talking about a 6-point price target, which is it's huge for the stock. But I don't think that's too unrealistic because, again, you know, get a load of this trend we've got going on here. The stocks from in the last 1 year tripled in value, so looks pretty feasible to me. So anyway, that's what I got on my radar for this week as far as price patterns are concerned. Look for Volume 2 to come out here shortly, which is going to talk about some other stocks I'm looking for as far as support bounces, resistance bounces, potential breakouts. So hopefully you find this helpful. Please visit me at www.optionaddict.blogspot.com. Take care. Bye-bye.